afternoon. Hello, everyone. Hope you're alright. Hope you had a good afternoon. Just enlarge the screen. It looks a bit yellow on the screen. Why is that? There. I don't know. Does that look right? My paper looks very yellow.
It does look very yellow. Really yellow.
But the digital image looks alright, doesn't it? Let me see it. I think every time I change.
Looks like they've put masking fluid on it.
Yeah, every time I log off this, it seems to. What do I need to do? I need to. Properties. Is it properties? No. Yes. Configure video. Talk amongst yourselves online. Hope you're alright. Anyway, there's only one person. Oh, two? One? Two? I don't know how many there are. Do say hello. I'm just. You're off out enjoying yourselves, I know. Well, thank you for your commitment, Chris. What do I need? The brightness, do you think? Hang on, Jackie, look. Can you look at the big telly for me?
Yes.
Am I doing bright? See, that's too bright. Will it be the saturation? What's gamma? Because I don't want it to. I can't move backlight. What's that?
Well, that's improved it a bit. Well, it's still very yellow around the flower. I don't know why.
No, that is weird. But you see, my hand looks like I'm tanned.
But when you put your hand on it, it won't be
I know. Well, this is the thing.
And then it goes back to yellow.
I'm not fully. Is the hue that? Oh gosh, that's green.
Your jaundice now.
That's better. But when I do this, you see that it doesn't seem to stay. See, I'll go to apply and OK, and for some reason, each time I go in, hi Judy. Each time I go in, it seems to change it. That's better though, isn't it? That's yellow paper. That's white paper. Sorry about that. I do set things up, but sometimes. See, it's gone yellow again.
Yeah, and that's gone white again.
It's gone white again. I don't know. I think that's all right. We'll stick with that. But it's bizarre today, and I don't know what to do because I've got a white. Do you know what? I think I need to repaint this white.
I think it's picking up the undertones of the background.
Let me find a bit of white paper.
Oh, I have some.
Here we go. Let me just put this bit of white paper down. Let's just see, because this is why I painted this white initially, because it changed everything. Look at the difference. So I need to give this a good scrub and then get my acrylics out again. Isn't that daft? I can see there's 4 of you. I know not all of you know how to comment or can comment. There's 5 of you. Hello. So I'll have to get the white acrylic out later. I haven't repainted that for a while. It proves it works. Otherwise, it contrasts and goes bizarre. Been very quiet today on the shop floor. Who came yesterday? We had Robert D. Liz was back, which was nice. She's better because she had COVID. And Sue. Sandra's having her eyes done.
Marie's obviously still recovering.
Well,
Oh, she's not been well. She's got COVID.
yeah, she got COVID as well.
Oh dear.
There's so many.
Her granddaughter had COVID and she got it.
It's everywhere.
To get it after this weekend, because I saw my family, but
Yeah, they're all fine. You can't tell. It's potluck, innit? So yesterday was quite busy. It was quite busy yesterday. With hello Hello, Joy. I can see you on this one. Hello, Norman. I'll have this one on. But yeah, we might get to a point on the third Wednesday afternoon where I fit 6 in, because there seems to be, we've always seems to have 5, because there's always one person off. But there's gonna be a point where we're not. But 6 in here still is very spacious.
We talked about it the other week.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this one's gone from 3 to 1.
Yeah, this was 3. Now we're 1.
Now you're getting 1 to 1.
Oh gosh, Judith's daughter's got COVID for the 3rd time. Blimey.
That's what I mean. I think it's just going to be one of those things.
I think it is. It's just going to be one of those that it's just not going away. And there's this new version now, which is a slow burner, I think. So I think we've got that for a while. You just want a normal year, don't you?
Well, it would be nice.
It's amazing when you think what, like, January 2020 was like. Well, I've missed a bit off my petal, look.
Was it this the first year I've been able to have a birthday? About 2 or 3 years.
Oh, well, that's good because you can call yourself what you were before.
I know.
Well, I thought I was 43 last year, well, last December, but last December, but I wasn't. I was only 42, and I'm now only just 43, just gone. So that's really good for me. That's really good because I'm still the same age.
He's younger than I am,
Yeah,
sadly.
not that much, and I look older, so that's fine. I look older. I'm going to put a few little bits of petal behind, even though they're not there. Jackie gets cut, so I'll serve a customer and they go, oh yes, I did speak to your daughter last week, and then I ban them.
Yeah.
He's older than me, thanks. I just look this way because I was married once.
The age we made.
That's 3 times you've been called my daughter. It's really annoying.
Younger sister, I think, or so.
My younger sister.
Yeah. How you with your younger sister?
My sister's my older sister, and she does look younger than me.
Yeah, she does look younger.
My brother, thankfully, looks more like he would be my father.
Yeah.
But he is 10 years older than me. So I have drawn all the petals. I've drawn it all. Hello, Paul.
My grandson in Australia said Drew had got a 3-line whip going, but all the kids lined up and they'd all been practising singing happy birthday. And then they all said something to me, Theo came out with, now, yeah, look a day over 50, and then he winked at me like that. I'm thinking, you've been practising that.
When was your birthday? When's your birthday?
It was
Recently?
Monday.
Oh,
Monday.
happy birthday!
I've got a
Was it
happy
your
birthday
51st
button.
Was it your 51st?
Absolutely.
Is that why you said you don't look day over 50?
I should be so lucky.
You know Christine was famous on telly, don't you?
No,
Did we not tell you that?
No.
She was in It's a Knockout. Did you win It's a Knockout? You did, didn't you?
Really?
Yeah.
Juste Frontier in Essen in Germany, 1971.
Oh, I wasn't around.
No,
Sorry.
nobody was born then. And I was 18.
Yeah. My mum and thought of being then.
I wasn't even. Oh, the writing's just come up on my screen. That's good. So, I have put the colours in. Where have they gone? Maybe I haven't put the colours in. What's the colours?
They were on the screen.
Not those.
They were on
Do you know what the colours are?
Oh, I can look it up.
Can you quickly tell me what the colours are, and I'll quickly edit this. I do apologise. I thought I'd done all of this, but I'd done pastels this morning, and there's no writing on pastels.
Payne's grey and
Cadmium red, cadmium yellow.
Ultramarine,
Rosmarine.
Payne's grey, burnt sienna.
Payne's grey.
Look at me typing like I'm Dolly Parton 9 to 5.
Cadmium yellow.
Cadmium. Yeah, that's the student version. There we go. I don't like you. Apologies about that. None of you told me. Who's in the room today, Paul? I should say, who's in the room today? Today, joining us live from the studio is Christine, winner of It's a Knockout, 1971. Welcome, Christine. Come on down. It's Chris, Paul.
Honestly, you're so silly. Oh dear.
I came up as Mrs. Overall one day with a cup of tea on the trolley, on the tray. It's a nice coconut macaroon.
Right, I'm going to go off in a minute because I've got to go and post your thing.
Oh, yeah, I've ordered some more of them.
Do you need me to wait until you finish this guy?
What are the chances, eh? What?
Don't know.
Because it's been really quiet today, and
Okay.
yes, it's been really quiet this week.
Yes. Do you need me to stay until you've done this guy?
But you've got to get back to the kids, so no,
Well, I think
I'll
we
be
can walk
okay.
to start
Because
there.
it's a big mess. So I think I'm going to say you don't need to if you don't want to.
Right.
You'd want to do
It's
extra
off, do you remember
hours.
that?
I remember. Noted.
I'll still moan.
Get on and do your sky then.
She was indeed in your Monday gang. Paul says hello.
Hiya.
The Monday gang. I am doing Monday evenings again from April, but I know many of you are happier in the afternoons, in the daylight. But Monday nights, the paintings are different now. I don't do the same image on a Monday as I do on a Thursday. I do a totally different theme. So this month, I'll show you this week's. If you've already done a class this week, you'll already know all of this. But tough. That was Sunday mornings, boxing hairs. That's my last hairs. I was all haired out. We did a lot of hairs last week. And then Monday morning at Wardington, watercolour portrait.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? I thought I'll challenge them, forgetting that I only do this in 45 minutes and they have 2 hours. So I did it all apart from the black background, and I did that just afterwards. So that was Monday morning. That will be on Artstream, or it might already be on Artstream. The boxing hairs one isn't. Then Monday evening was this nice Yorkshire Dales scene. Because none of you do the Monday night one, so you might know. And then the acrylic class on Tuesday was a bear walking through a wood in Finland, which was nice. And then the gouache class was this lovely ruined house in Morderford, Herefordshire. I used to pass it a lot. And then the drawing class was Edgecote Church, which was actually easier than the really tricky one the week before. Even though it looked harder though. This looked a lot harder, but actually there was a lot more lines that you could work from. So that was Wednesday. So we've had a busy week, very varied. Oh, this morning I did pastels. Hang on, I've spent my sketchbook. Just shelve that, because it may look like anarchy in here, but everything does have a place. And then this morning I did a pastel of a stag.
That's nice. That's lovely.
So that's chalk pastels. We did it in an hour and a half, actually. I thought it was going to take longer. So we've had a very busy week. And I think all of them will make their way to Artstream, apart from the boxing hairs on Sunday. Thank you, Jackie.
Bye.
If somebody happens to be coming in as you're leaving, it would be nice if you did serve them. But if not, don't worry. Bye.
Bye.
Right, so I've got my squirrel soaking. You're going to find this one a little bit tricky, I think, because of the amount that's gone on. That it's all background, but the background is nothing, isn't it? You know. What is interesting, and I'm gonna, because I've got a real life person with me. The real life people, you get perks.
That's good.
It's just a piece of card. It's nothing exciting. It's a piece of card with a hole punched in. And where that comes in is, we did this the other week with the butterfly. When you look at the white daisy, but isolate it with white card, It's
not white.
it's actually quite pinky orange, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some of it is purple.
Yeah.
So it's quite amazing. And so you can do this at home. You just need a piece of white card and a hole punch. Sound very Blue Peter, don't I? And what you can do actually is if you make two and you're doing your painting, you put the card over the bit that you reference, and then you put it over the same area of your painting, and you can then match the values, you know. So yeah, useful techniques. And our photocopy is still quite poorly. We're having to look at potentially getting a new machine, which will mean I've got to try and learn another one. But it's been poorly for many weeks now, and I pay £80 a month for it, and yeah, and I use it every day. Oils and trompe l'oeil in your other class. Wow, Judy. I bet trompe l'oeil is very challenging. Very challenging. But it's art history next week, isn't it? Is it next week?
I think so.
Art Deco, isn't it? I'll just double check because it's not tomorrow, is it?
No.
25th, so next week. So they upheld my parking fine.
I did.
They said because the information is there. However, on Monday I had the second one of 3 arrive, and I have appealed that one, and I have said, can you show leniency, because the other 2, this one and the next one that you've not sent yet, are based on the misunderstanding from the first one. Had I known earlier, I wouldn't have done the other 2, and another £120 fine of the 2 combined could actually mean I can't get to work, and I've spent £1,000 a year on your car park previously, you know. So can you? But they won't email you, they'll do it by post. Everything to just drag it out that bit longer. I said I've got no problem paying for the time I was actually there, because that's what I thought I was doing. But you know, I really do begrudge paying £60 for something that I misunderstood, that was really vague, almost deliberately.
Oh, it's sickening, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I know they have to make the money somehow, but you have got to live. And what's frustrating about a small town like Banbury is you've got 3 to 4 different car parking operatives going on. You know, if you've got an app, you've got to have the Ringo app, the APCO app, and an NCP app just to park in one town centre. It's crazy. Other towns seem to be a lot more organised with just one. And if you make things difficult, it doesn't encourage people to come in at all. Although they are looking at making... Which one is it? Not Wantage. What's the one near Chipping? Whitney. They're thinking of charging for Whitney parking soon. And there's uproar about that.
It just destroys the town. A lot of people
It
don't
does.
come into town because they don't want to. If they've just got a few things to pick up, they're only going to be in what, half an hour.
Yeah, the high street of the town centre I grew up in and worked in. It used to be a 2-lane town centre thing, and they made a ring road in the 60s. But what they then did is, going through the town, it was still a road, but the one side was 1 hour parking bays for free, so you could just pull in, do what you needed to do, and go. And it was just, the town was a lot busier because there were a lot more people just coming in. You want me to zoom in on the bottom, Daisy? Hang on. So it needs, I feel it needs some element of free parking, even if it's not all free, but your first hour free. Because we do get people in going, oh, I'd love to stay, I'd love to look, I'd love to this, I'd love to that, but I've got to get back for my parking.
You feel bad if you're late as well.
Yes.
You know, just 5 minutes, you're rushing to be back.
Yeah, it's too stressful. It doesn't, you've got to make using town centres easy, like it is easy to shop at a retail park. That's why, well, I mean, they don't work that well, but they work better than town centres in some places. But we're still doing all right. The shops that are closing or closed have already got people lined up to take them on, so we'll be fine. But it's not easy now. Is that better for you, Judy? I'll give you a couple more minutes, and then we'll slosh some paint on. So yeah, lemon yellow, no, I'm lying. Cadmium red, cadmium yellow, ultramarine, burnt sienna and Payne's grey. Hardly any burnt sienna, to be honest. Well, you could, if you didn't want to use Payne's grey, thank you Norman, if you don't want to use Payne's grey, you could use ultramarine and burnt sienna. So you've got the option. I might squeeze out a bit of Payne's grey because I want to do a bit of dark. Now for the hairs on the stem, I will probably use a gel pen for, to be honest, because useful. I just got to check my gel pens, right? Yeah. Okay, I will zoom out. I can zoom out on this one easier and in than I can on the one at home because it's an old camera and all the joints are wobbly and there's no way of tightening them up. So it stays in position. So it's all or nothing today, which I know fills many of you with dread. Let me just fiddle with that camera. That's better. It needs to be flat, otherwise it looks like there's a slope. Because we've kind of got to wet the whole thing, but not the flowers. If you were very fancy, you could use masking fluid on the petals, or you could just be a bit careful. So we're going to be just a bit careful. However, because the weather's now getting a little milder, isn't it lovely? Very spring-like. But I did not sleep at all last night, and I realised, I don't know whether it's the full moon that stopped me from sleeping. Whether it's bright or whether I'm a werewolf, I'm not sure. What is it they say? I used to be a werewolf, but I'm all right now. So I'm really giving it a good wet because I don't want it to dry as I go around the petals. If you were going to mask, it does make life easier for the wash, but then you've then got the hassle of having to rub it off and paint the leaves of the petals anyway. So, you know, everything is just swapping one alternative to another. If we were painting in the style of Turner, JMW Turner, he would have used a bottle of gum arabic. Now, watercolour paint is made from gum arabic. And although it's water-based, if you paint it on quite thickly, it will allow washes to occur. So Turner would paint all of these petals in gum arabic and slosh the paint on. And then when he wanted to paint over the top, he'd just, you know, dampen it and wipe it off. So there's lots of options, but you have to find which option works best for you. I find sometimes just being a little bit careful and painting around, as annoying as it is quite good. Watch a good film on Netflix. It's about 10 years old now. It's got Sheridan Smith in, who is quite nice. And it's a Daphne du Maurier film based on a Daphne du Maurier called The Scapegoat. And it's not scary, it's not a thriller, it's not a horror, it's just really good film. So I can recommend that, The Scapegoat. And it's set in 1953, the year of the coronation. So it's kind of, I think that's why they've put it on. Because there's a bit of a timeline link with us today. So that's good. And what was really lovely, on ITV4 on Monday or Tuesday night, there's a new game, but there's a new show, like the Bake Off and whatever, but it's called The Great British Treasure Hunt. And there's groups of treasure hunters, metal detectorists, and they all go to this one area and they're all given a field, and the one with the most important find wins. And it's just really quite nice. I like gentle TV, you know. Paul, I think you'll like both of those things. I don't think there's because I know you only like happy ending films, and I think that has got a fairly happy. Right, I've really given that a good wet, so I can go in with the card yellow that's slightly green because I never clean it. Don't feel bad if you never clean your brushes or your paint or anything. It's okay. It's one of those things with my paint that I intend to, you know, I'll make it a mess and I'll think, well, when that dries, I'll clean that off so it's nice and fresh for the next lesson. And then do nothing about it whatsoever. So I've gone in for a slightly stronger cad yellow, and then, oh, my cad red's also dirty. But never mind. I'll just put a little bit around. So yeah, we're very thin on the ground here. We started off with 3 at the start of the week, but then my Sunday class started off full, and then I ended up with 3. You just don't know what's going on nowadays. Anything goes. Oh, that's quite strong. I'm not... You know, it's got that circle of light, what they call bokeh lighting. I don't know if I want to put it in, because I think that's a camera flare. I haven't seen the pottery throwdown. I had it all recorded, but I needed to clear space off my skybox, so I've got rid. Maybe I'll just do... I'll give the illusion of bokeh lighting. I think I'll just twist my brush around in a few places, so it just gives it that ethereal feel. I've been teaching the a Pre-Raphaelites lecture at Byfield. I'm on I've just finished week 3 of 5. So we've done all the main ones, and now we're looking at we'll be looking at the women of the PRB next week, and then the loyal supporters and periphery members. So I've got my orange where I've just lifted out. It's already filled in. That's all right. I'm not really bothered. If I can get this done before it totally dries, which is going to be no mean feat, I want to... Oh, that's the wrong blueberry. I want to try and spatter a bit of water on this. Cad yellow and ultramarine. I've got a pre-mix here, but I don't think it'll be strong enough. I'm going to go a little bit cad yellow ultramarine, but maybe a bit more ultramarine, so it's a bit darker. And I want to drop that in up here. And I don't know what this is. This could be buildings, it could be foliage, it could be a field of flowers. It doesn't matter to us. But what does matter is that it will dry 30% lighter, and we need it to be strong to go around the petals. He says as he's painted over one of them. Working live does really make you not have to swear. It's a bit like when you work in primary education, isn't it? You have to really filter you've got a really good filter. And doing live Facebook things, I can't swear. Just in case we get any younger people joining in. But they probably know more words than I do, to be fair. But I have to try and be professional, don't I? Not too professional, because you won't know what the matter is with me. Oh, that's already dry. So this is a lot of ultramarine and a bit of cad yellow. And I may use a bit of Payne's Grey or ultramarine burnt sienna mix down the bottom end. I'm just going to drop a little bit more up here, because it seemed to be exact around the flowers, and it looked too contrived. And I dare say it is contrived. The photographer will have spent a long time finding the exact angle to poise the camera. But the darker we make our darks, the lighter the lights will be. I think that's almost a quote by Rembrandt from a long time. One of his students asked how he could make his painting lighter, and Rembrandt replied, telling him to put more darks in. Which does sound very counterintuitive, doesn't it? But to be honest, it's the best way. I really wet this as well. I've lost a little bit of my stem. The top bit soaking wet still. The bit I need is dried out. I sometimes think watercolours do it to mock us. Because it doesn't really matter how many decades you've been painting. Covering large areas and doing dry brush, both of those things never all, you know, aren't a constant. There's not a given that it's going to work. So if I mix ultramarine, you can either mix ultramarine and burnt sienna, or use Payne's grey, or I don't know if cadmium red and ultramarine might be a bit. You could try a bit of cadmium red and ultramarine. It's really up to you how dark you want the base, but just bear in mind, the darker your darks are, the lighter your lights will look. So I'm going to consider at some point shortly spattering this to give it a very ethereal look. We did this with the butterfly, I think, didn't we? We gave it a bit of a spatter just with water. I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of Payne's grey. Just to make it a little bit darker at the bottom, because if you think of the light, the light is leaching, isn't it, away. So a little bit of Payne's grey, which is just Mars black and ultramarine, so we can kind of get away with putting it in. This really helps with your brush control, doesn't it? But what I will say is try not to have it so that everything is perfectly in line. Bring some of the dark higher than the daisies, or some of the green lower. Think that it's got to look natural enough, which I know doesn't help when you're really quite stressfully working. And if you finish your strokes like it looks like it's grassy bits or something, if you end up with streaks and stripes, it looks like you've meant it to be there. Now to me that's more valuable than anything, isn't it? Because as it starts to dry, it may change or affect how it works and how it looks. I've nearly spattered with water anyway. I was a bit vigorous with my with my cleaning then. Let me spatter in my sky. Because that's drier. Maybe too dry. If you have cauliflowers in this is the week to get cauliflowers. I've got some of my background is wet, some of it's dry. I'm going to just try take the edge off some of this without it drying totally. So if I spatter, it might work. It may not, because I'm using my paints, which really beautifully granulate. And sometimes you either get granulation or blobs. You could do this with rock salt or dishwasher salt, and it gives you a similar effect, but then you're working with lumpy bits of paper. I find this is a really good method for backgrounds when you've either got a lot of background or you don't know what to do with it. I've been doing interesting ways to try and save electricity with everything going on. I bought a pair of solar garden spotlights, and I've got them in the house. I've got one in the hall and one in the porch, with the solar panel out on the porch roof through the window. So when it gets dark, it lights up the rooms without any electricity. Which is cool, because it's only me, and I live in the dark most of the time anyway. I don't really have lights on. I just have a little lamp on here and there. So hopefully I won't have loads of an increase in bill. There we go, that'll do. Let's see what that looks like as it dries. Because if it really goes odd, we can do a few long thin leaves or something. Let me just check. Are these margaritas, would you call them, or what flowers are they?
Like margaritas, don't they?
Yeah. Oxeye daisies. They could be Oxeye daisies. I'm just trying to see what the oh, hello Benedict. Hello D. They could also be Oxeye daisies. I'm just trying to see what the leaves look like. Almost like poppy leaves, long, thin. I think we can do something. Yeah, I think you'd have loved this one, D. I'm just going to let it dry now. Oh, that looks nice, Chris. Got a good glow on that. It will glow more once we've actually coloured in it. It's annoying because we know the petals are white, but they're not white, are they? So I need to. I've dribbled over my leaf. I'm just going to use a damp brush to lift them out where I've gone a bit too excitedly. Yeah, I think that'll do. That really needs to dry. I might lift out where I went to town on that stalk as well. I'll probably end up covering it anyway, but I think it just helps you know where things should be. I'm sure it's not a mess, Judith. I'm sure it's not.
Oh, the old Ukraine thing's not getting any better, is it?
No. No, 20 odd days now, isn't it? Or something.
Yeah. They were saying that they bombed the church last night.
Yeah.
About 1,000 people in the basement. So what were saying?
It was a maternity hospital last week, wasn't it? As well. Yeah.
And of course, he didn't do it.
No. No.
The
This is.
Ukrainians did it to themselves, apparently.
Yeah.
It's straight out of the KGB handbook.
Oh, it is. It is. It's scary, really. The amount of propaganda.
You're believing it as well.
Mm.
It is worrying.
It's sort of like what now? Just
Yeah,
what now?
exactly.
Just let us have a year where we haven't got to worry about something else.
That's just about what everybody's saying.
It's just
What else?
what else? When I listen to the news, I just go, oh, what now? So I try not to listen to it very much now. I just do a painting instead.
Yeah.
So apart from Judith's is a mess, which I'm sure isn't, how's everybody else's looking? I mean, you could, and I'm not advocating this, when the daisies are done, I'm just thinking you could do lifted out daisies in your background that would be there that not there. Do you know what I mean? So it was it just gives a lift, because generally you wouldn't just see two, because they grow in big clusters, don't they? But I might do some lifted out petals either at the bottom or on the side, you know, half on half off, that will give me, oh, do you know what, I'm going to do that now. because it's only quarter to cup of tea. Quarter to tea. I can do this on an afternoon because 3 o'clock is tea o'clock. Although the Friday afternoon's a bit different because that starts at 1:30, so technically tea o'clock should be 2:30. But they like it at 3, but then it's very close to kicking out time. Let's see if I can do a clean damp brush. And lift out some subtle petals. And then that just gives us that idea that there's more going on outside the painting than we can see. If you can't lift out, if you're not very good at lifting out, and to be fair, it's a skill, wet the area, paint the area that you want, and then leave it for a second or two, and you can just dab it off with a bit of kitchen roll. And I'm going to do some bigger I'm going to keep them on the edge. Although technically I need to do, it's good to have an odd number, isn't it, of flowers? That's what they say. And this, doing them, they're just the odd petal coming in off the edge, is a really good way of cheating. Because it shows that we've got stuff happening, but equally it leaves it. 3 distant ones is an odd number, plus the 2 is an odd number, so we've got 5. Just subtle little lift outs, but I might have to put the middle in, a hint of a middle in one of them. Breaks it up a little bit, and it stops anything from being too centralized. There's nothing stopping you just putting a petal or something in quite big, very loosely lifted out at the bottom. It's interesting. Normally, when we're painting, the first hour is spent on the background, and that's exactly what's happening now. But we haven't really got a background as such, have we? You know, it's not the same intricacy and layers that we normally have. Yet it's still needed. It's amazing how orangey the orange looks now. Going a bit darker. Do you know, I might add just a little hint of cad yellow just in and around. I'm going to stop now. Slightly earlier than coffee break, but I think this is the best thing, and then we can spend the second half really working on those petals and getting the shading and the tone right, which I think is important. I've just added a little bit of yellow and green for the centre of, because I've got a lot of petals there, so I thought it does need a little bit. Oh, you're at Whittington, the other side of Kimver. There used to be a lovely meals there, Joy, at the Whittington Lock pub. Really lovely. Allegedly the home of Dick Whittington. The lane opposite it that takes you towards Norton Estate, that's Gibbet Lane. That's where I saw the Headless Horseman. Well, his carriage. I was taking my friend home and his sister one night, about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and we were down this long, windy lane, and there was a car in front with two red tail lights, and we were following it, and it went over the hill, and we went over the hill, and then almost all at the same time, we all said, wasn't there a vehicle in front of us? There was nowhere it could have turned off, nowhere it could have stopped, and it was a bit scary, that. Never saw it since, but it was so weird, because it wasn't a fast vehicle, but it was, you know, a good way ahead, but it's a straight lane. So that was quite exciting. Chris, what are you having? You have latte, don't you? Yeah. Latte. I will go and order it. I'll be back shortly. shortbread today
Oh wow.
because there's only two of us.
So you've been treated. Thank you. That's lovely.
Well, that's really lovely. Don't be too good now because you're on your own. There's only my work that it can be compared to, and that we can't be having it if it's too good.
Hardly.
Oh, Joy had these flowers in her wedding bouquet 50 years ago nearly.
Oh, lovely.
We had calla lilies in ours because we had a black and white theme, Art Deco.
Yeah, I had simple lilies in ours.
Right.
White roses. I used to live out in the Middle East, so
Nice.
white roses.
I'm just eating caramel shortbread, that's why I'm quiet. Make the most of it.
Is it nice because it's got a lot of caramel in it?
They have, it's really good.
Oh.
I'm just going to get the hairdryer on this for a sec.
I don't know what we're missing.
No, it should be here. I love watching the paper shrink back. Magic. That's only to stop me from leaning on wet stuff. I got absolutely filthy in the drawing class yesterday. I ended up with it all on my fist. So what I did is I then got my fist and squiggled it on the sky and it turned it into clouds. I thought I might as well use it up.
I went into the shop on the way home last week and hadn't realised how grubby my hands were, and the lady.
That's the trouble, isn't it?
But I've been drawing.
That's the trouble. Because you try to almost excuse yourself, don't you?
What's your village doing for pre-Jubilee?
I don't think it's doing anything. I've not heard or seen anything really for the Jubilee. I've not seen anything to go with window displays or anything. That's really weird. They'll do it. I think it's quite last minute, my village. So probably like the 1st of June they'll say, who's doing this? And the pub's only just got a new landlord, so I don't know whether he'll be doing anything or what.
It doesn't seem like the excitement as it has been in the past, does it?
No, I think it's because everybody's mind's on everything else, isn't it? Because she's not too well, is she still? I blame me drawing it. I should never have done a drawing class of her, because I've killed 3 people off within 2 weeks of doing a picture. So the one I did on Monday, it's a reference photo. I don't even know who he is or whether he's still with us or not. I've moved myself from all problems there. Right, for that's the back end of one, and that's the centre. So we'll look at the centre. I want it to be cad yellow, a tiny bit of cad red, and then I'm just going to fill it in. So slightly orange, but not very. Cad yellow is an orangey yellow anyway, but you could just add a little bit more. And the centre is going to be slightly more orange. I looked at a close-up photo of a sunflower centre before it's all flowers, isn't it? So the centre of a sunflower is just like lots of flowers. Have you ever seen?
Really lovely, actually.
It's amazing. And then I saw a photograph of butterfly eggs under a leaf. see if I can share. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Look at that.
That's
Butterfly eggs under a leaf.
amazing. Great.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
I wouldn't have said that.
Such structure and geometry.
No?
I mean, they'd be really tiny as well, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I love baby ladybirds that when they're in their larva, you know, they're like little grey pointy things with orange speckles on. I like them. They've probably got a name.
They still not make everything come out.
Yeah, because the daffs aren't all out still, and in the park, the older cherry trees have been in blossom ages, but the young ones that line one of the paths, still in bud. They're not out yet. Because it's the official. It was meteorological spring 1st of March, isn't it? But the 20th is like official spring.
Official spring, yeah, the spring equinox,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It's either the 20th, the 21st, or the 22nd, and this year it's the 20th.
And then that's also clocks go forward, don't they? On the 21st, I think that weekend.
Is it?
No, 27th. I lie. 27th clocks go forward. On Mother's Day. Next Sunday. Well, Saturday night. Clocks go forward, don't they?
This thing's whizzing by.
It's crazy, isn't it? But Easter's still,
April.
yeah, mid-April. It's quite a long way away, isn't it? 15th of April, Good Friday. I've had to mark on when it's green bin and blue bin day because I can never remember, so I've got it on my calendar. '27th of March is Mother's Day, Daylight Savings Day, and also National Scribble Day. I've got a video for that to post on social media for that day.
Was it last year, the year before Mother's Day was on my birthday? So it's either one or the other, you know.
Can't do both.
Can't do both.
Well, we got married on the 21st of December, so it was really hard to find anniversary cards because it was just all Christmas. And I'm a December baby as well. Hard to find birthday cards, and nothing else happens in December. It's only Christmas.
My grandson, his birthday's on the 23rd, but we don't say much about Christmas until after that hit. So he actually has a birthday.
Yeah, the Christmas decks used to go up on my birthday, so it was all really cool. But then I would get a present in the summer that was more practical. So instead of having a bike in December when you can't ride it in the snow, I'd get it in the school holidays when I'd got the time to ride it, which was a good way of working, I think. Right, now that's got to dry. This is a fiddly bit because I'm going to add a bit of ultramarine to that colour, so it goes more of an orangey green. And we've got to do some squibbly bits. So, I might need to go a little bit dark. I'm just underlining there. And I'm literally going to do lots of circles or squiggles. This is the fiddle. Worth it though. I mean, you could really just squiggle it and not think. But if you make them a little bit bigger right at the bottom of that line, and then as you get further up, let the colours run. And Paul says it's best to get married in the morning, because if it doesn't work out, you've not wasted the whole day. Very true. I should have done that, I think. I had a nice day out though. Broke the week. I think it was on a Wednesday we got married because it was cheaper. It was already expensive being in the castle. God, 12 grand that cost. And that was in, what, 2009? And that's what I paid. I'm sure there were elements of it that cost more that I wasn't privy to. I'm kind of doing actual circular swoopy shapes. I've got to make it a little bit darker. There are a few things going on within the town area for the Jubilee. There's a kids' big street party in Marketplace on the Sunday. And then there's the beacon lighting event on the Thursday evening, because I'm hopefully booked to sing there for that. But there's nothing happening in the town. They want us to try and organise it ourselves, but they only told us the end of February, which doesn't give you time to actually organise anything for June. I'm going in with this slightly darker green for a bit more round here. So I think the best we can do is just try and get some bunting up and all decorate our windows.
We're just having two people in the village have got a big garden, and they're both open gardens, so they invited the village to go and just take a picnic there.
Oh, that's nice. It's funny because when they approached me to sing for the beacon lighting evening, they said we only want you to do 40s, and I said, can I ask why you want 40s? Because the coronation was in 53. I said it wasn't wartime songs that people were singing. I said, in fact, Dickie Valentine actually wrote a song. Well, he sang. There was another song that somebody else sang, the same song, but he sang a song about the coronation in a golden coach. I said, so there's a song actually written. And most people will be listening to the songs from the late 40s, early 50s. And they went, oh, yes, that's fine then. But I'm not going to be singing Bless Them All and all of that kind of stuff, because that's not, it's not D-Day or VE Day. I mean, I might sing They'll Always Be in England or Land of Hope and Glory or something, because that's more of a rousing thing, isn't it? But I'm not going to be singing anything specifically 40s wartime, because I don't think that's really appropriate anyway. We'd done all of that. We'd had D-Day and VE Day, so you want more uplifting stuff. So I found some good big band ones, because most of the songs I sing are late 40s, the 30s, 40s and 50s, so it's not really an issue.
They sound good, really good.
But it's just the nerves that I have before I perform. I could be sick. I'm that scared. And while I'm doing it, I'm thinking, why do you do this? Why? But if I don't, I'd never do anything. You see, it's one of those things you have to just force yourself. Do you know what? I need to put some of the original. Do you know that green that we made for the background? I'm going to have to put some of that in because I've got gaps in my petals that I didn't actually fill in. I think they booked me because I'm quite cheap, but I'm not doing it for free because I have to pay for my insurance and my my machinery and stuff. Because I have to. A lot of places won't let you sing without public liability insurance. So if I was booked, I was booked a few years ago, all pre-COVID, because nothing really much has happened since. But I was booked to sing at a works Christmas do at a hotel, but the hotel wouldn't let me in until I'd shown them I'd got public liability. Even though they'd have public liability as well, but I suppose everyone's got to cover their own backs. But that costs £80 a year at least, just for singing. Yeah. Right, I filled in a few bits, that's good. It's amazing how that centre does already make it look like a daisy, doesn't it? Even though we haven't really got any petals on. If you make it quite dark there, because if you think that the light is behind it, isn't it? So anything that's facing us is going to be slightly darker. So you might even want to use a bit of Payne's grey in there. How is it looking, folks? So we've got the challenge of making a white daisy, pink and purple, but so it still looks white. A bit like we did the pink blossom with the blue butterfly the other week, but the pink blossom was actually blue because it was in shadow. It's a bit like that.
I was looking at that this afternoon for
Still messy.
It's a nice one.
That was because you didn't do that one, did you? Did you?
Yeah.
It was an interesting one, I think. I tried to make it as varied as possible for you, and I know not all of you like the same things, which is fair enough. But I think it is good to have a go, because you might like that other thing more than you think you could, or prefer it over another thing that you thought you liked more. It's interesting because Kathy's daughter does a lot of work with the Nutkin Ward, the Animal Wildlife Rescue,
Yeah.
and she suddenly, in the last 2 weeks, decided she wanted to take up animal art. So she's doing pastel pencils on brown paper of the animal, some of animals, foxes and badgers, and that. And she's really, really good. For somebody that's never shown an artistic interest at all, and it's like really consuming. She's in here nearly every morning, buying a pastel pencil, or I need more paper, or I need another this, I need another that. It's fascinating, and she's really good actually.
It's like you say, the more you do, the better you get at it. I didn't think I could draw animals. Actually, I'd rather draw them than flipping flowers.
I know, because your first thing was, I love doing flowers. I love doing flowers.
I won't ever do them.
No. It's funny though, isn't it? But if Tony, who used to come to classes, he used to say to me, I always make sure I come to the lessons that I think I won't enjoy, because I learn so much more out of it, and I surprise myself. Whereas if I only ever do the ones I know I'm comfortable with, I don't learn anything and I don't enjoy it, and I'll race ahead and then I get annoyed because I think I know it all. So it is good to challenge yourself. I think is a good thing. Right, I'm going to make 2 colours. I've still got a bit of my orange centre. I'm going to add a lot more red to it, so it goes a very pinky apricot colour. And that's going to be the lighter tone of your flower. And then mix ultramarine and cadmium red together to make an aubergine. And that's going to be your darker tone. And I know it's a little bit odd. I know it's not right. It looks... Barry, why are you making an apricot colour to paint a white Oxeye daisy petal? But it will make sense, hopefully. Now, depending on how you've drawn it, mine went a little bit spready, my background. But if you look at the photograph, the petals on the bigger flower that we've painted go in front of the sky. And where they're in front of the sky, they're more purpley grey than they are within the centre where the light's hitting them. And I'm going to do a petal at a time. So I'm going to wet a petal, not soaking, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this pinky peach colour, because don't forget watercolour's dry, 30% lighter. And then I'm going to put a little bit of my purple tone on the top and on the right hand side, and let it spread. And I'm going to do that to every single petal. You can leave a gap between each one if you feel a bit happier. And some will have no purple shading on. Some will only have a little bit. And it's very much up to you on which is which. So you could do it so you do every other petal, which allows it to dry before you move on to the next one. But then you have to work out which is the one you're looking at. Because it's going to have that little bit of a glow on it regardless, because you've got that colour sky. So I'm going to do one, miss one, do one, miss one. And most of it is just soft cream. I like painting. It's a good job really, isn't it? But I still really find it exciting. And if it all goes wrong, you can always use a gel pen, don't forget. The gel pen is your friend. The hint of the pinky cream colour, and then drop in the purple. Very subtle. You see that the other daisy's out of focus, isn't it? But we won't really worry about that. We'll put him more in focus. Such a lot of admin work to do. Sometimes when I get home I don't really want to get the laptop out again and do yet more work, but then I don't know when I'm supposed to get it done, because we've increased the classes that we do. So you know, I'm teaching apart from a Tuesday morning, which is my admin morning, I'm teaching nearly every morning and afternoon and some evenings. So when I have got time on my own, I often just fall asleep. Which isn't really helpful if you're trying to get work done, I found. Put a blanket on me, and once it goes a bit dark, that's me gone. Really be subtle with your cream colour, so when it dries, it's just a soft little tint. So now I've done alternate ones, I can go back round and fill in the gaps. But these aren't absolutely soaking wet, these petals. They're slightly damp, which is what's helping them dry nice and quickly. But it does mean you can then layer each petal with a slightly purpley edge where you want it to look like it's in front or behind another. Don't forget your tea if you're having a drink. Paul, I imagine you'll do a really good one of these. No pressure. You will need a good imagination. I'm sure I won't. Because this is where the afternoon just disappears. It's 3:30 already, believe it or not. It's crazy. that's worked out nicely actually. That looks okay. I'm not having to use much purple at all for this. Forgotten one. Stop for a minute and then I'll work on the other petals. But as always, it's difficult to say how something's going to go until the rest of it's on, because the stems are pale at the moment, but in the photograph they're not. The tricky one with these petals, with the stems, will be the fact that in the photograph, to me, they're almost exactly the same colour as the background, but I think it'll look better if they're just a little bit lighter. I don't know. Because this is out of focus, it's quite hard to spot what you can do with it, but basically just follow what you've been doing with the other one. I'm tempted to outline some of the bigger petals with the purpley colour, but that's where it could all go wrong. I'm just addering then, you see. But it might bring it forward, because there are elements where my background colours are a bit paler, and annoyingly they seem to be paler right where I need them to be darker. But if I try to be subtle with it, so the smaller daisy is fine because it is really dark behind there. But you don't want to just go gung-ho and outline every petal in purple, because then that will lose the delicacy. There's a fine balance when you paint flowers about getting the soft transparency and delicacy of colour with actually getting it to look solid as well, because it's a solid thing. So I'll be working on the stems in a sec, but coming up to 20 to 4. And then I'll probably will use a gel pen or something to put the little fine hairs on. I'll just zoom in on these petals so you can see them a little bit closer. That'll help you for a minute or two, won't it? Yeah, I think once the stems go in, it will really help. So actually, while it's zoomed in, I can do this because I'm going to just mix the ultramarine and cad yellow together, but slightly more cad yellow, I think. And I might outline it with purple, but I don't know, because technically the center of this should be, let's try, if I use the purple down the middle. So yeah, that's your yellow and your blue, but more yellow. And the same for this one. Part of me, when I do this, feels like I should be using a bigger brush because this is taking forever. But then if I use a bigger brush, I end up slopping it all over the place. And it looks awful. Bit of purple on that darker side. The purple will just make it go a little bit darker, but the backs of these flowers have lots of little green leafy things on, so I'm going to do that with purple and the thin brush, I think, while it's damp. It's almost like a cathedral structure of arches, but I'm not going to go that crazy, but I'm going to do some. I might go a little bit darker with some purple right underneath there. So let me zoom out. Oh, ruin my stand. Well, that's looking alright. I think the little white hairs will look good when it's done. Looks alright, doesn't it? I've done like little curvy leaf shapes on that. You can't really see. Hang on, let me move that down a bit, see if that will help. There's my lap. No, I'm just knocking everything everywhere. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more on that one. And that's the green, and then I used a bit of the purple colour to use the leafy shapes. I'm going to use the more pastel gel pen so it doesn't stand out as bright white. Can you believe it's 10 to? It's ridiculous, isn't it? Well, that's it, because you're so engrossed, aren't you, on the task at hand, which is perfect for distraction, isn't it? Might use a bit of gel pen just to do a few little dots or squiggles on the bit that's catching the light of the pollen. I'll zoom out once more so you can see the bigger picture. See, I don't know, should I have gone darker with the other bits? I will never know. I could add darker bits, but I think it would be really tricky to add dark in between the petals at this point. So if I was, I won't get to do this picture again for another 12 weeks because it'll be the Friday afternoon class where I do this. I will get the video right for you now. I think putting anything else in would make it just far too much now. But you can see what. Do you know what? I am so tempted to go a bit darker. Should I or shouldn't I? Should I ruin it? I might not ruin it. But when I'm looking at the reference image, that background is a lot darker, isn't it? Dilemma. If the majority of tell me yes, I will go darker. If you say no, then I won't.
No.
You say no. Okay. Chris is a no.
I suppose it is darker though.
It is, but it's tricky. Judy says no as well. Joy says no. Paul says no. Okay. Okay. I won't do it, but technically, I think that the darker parts would make the petals glow more. You know. The consensus is no. So okay, I won't. But I would if you weren't here. because I have got the opportunity to do it again in a couple of months, I'll just have to remember to go darker for that one. What month am I doing that in? It's usually about 12 weeks. Judy, so your background's a bit like... You see, if you were going to do it, darken it, you'd need quite a big brush. Or 27th of May I'll be doing it. They might be out by then anyway. You'd need quite a big brush, wet an area bigger than you want to darken, and then drop the colour in. Mix the colour up first, and then with another brush wet the area, and then drop it in. Do you want to borrow one?
I'm a bit wet actually.
Oh, are you? Yeah, wait, that's okay. It's effective though, isn't it? So all I've done is I've done the little hairs going down the stem.
I haven't got my hairs in yet.
That's lovely. That's really nice. I think your background seems to be darker than mine in a way, because your petals really stand out. I've had to outline mine. Paul will want to see what you've done, so I'll...
I haven't finished it yet.
It's not finished yet. It's not finished yet, but it's beautiful. Look at that. That's gorgeous, isn't it?
Thank you.
That's really lovely. That is the risk, Judith, isn't it? That if you fiddle to make it darker, it could be made worse. The other thing you could do, if you're happy with mixed media, you could use a dark greeny blacky pastel in there, or a pastel pencil to darken it, or even like a charcoal pencil or something like that, which would I'll show you that. I will show you that, because it's less messy and I can rub it out if it goes wrong. Let me find a charcoal pencil. I'm sure I'll have one in here. The watercolour thing is the tricky bit, isn't it? So here's a charcoal pencil, a medium charcoal pencil, but I could pop that in darker, and I should have a cotton bud left over from this morning's pastel class somewhere. There we go. So if you see what I'm doing here, I'm just makes a difference, doesn't it? Just already brings those petals way out. And with a pastel pencil, you can just rub it out before you smudge. I'll keep it a bit loose. Cotton bud. So if you've got a little bit of charcoal, that would work too. It does look better, doesn't it, being a bit darker? Yeah. Just really just makes it pop a little bit. So something to consider before you, even before you use the gel pen, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it could be a pastel pencil or a charcoal pencil.
A pencil?
Yeah, this is it's a charcoal pencil. It's got harder charcoal in it.
And you've got the same pastels as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
pastel pencils are really, really lovely. We've actually had new ones in that they're quite expensive, but they last as long as a tube of paint, and they're the same price as a tube of paint. So really, they're not that expensive when you consider it. But that really just brings it forward, doesn't it?
I'd have to come to pastel classes then.
Yeah, Thursday mornings. It's amazing the difference that makes, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I like what you've been doing in the pastel classes.
Oh, they're lovely. So it just spreads a little bit. So the charcoal pencils are a little bit harder than the pastels, but it does mean that they sharpen a little bit easier. Most sharpeners don't work with them. You have to use a bit of a... The background for me is a bluey green. So it doesn't answer your question, does it, Joy? It's a bit of both. A little bit of both. Yeah, well, this is it. I do find I like gouache. You know, I work with gouache. I love it. But as an accompaniment to watercolours, I actually think pastels works well because you can make it more transparent, whereas gouache is not transparent. And you can really push it in. They do. I mean, I've got a little pot of pastel pencils and a set of pastels, but you might find you just want a yellow or a blue or a green or just the odd colour to stand out or to help pick things. So, you know, if you've done a tree, for example, and your tree looks too dark and you've not left enough lights, you could use a yellow pastel pencil over the top of the dark tree to bring it out a little bit. I don't know, I've probably got a watercolour knocking about that I can just show you. These are all snowy ones. I can't find one that it would work on. That's annoying. But yeah, so you can use it to lighten a tree and just add an extra highlight or two on there. Oh, I can show you on this stem. Let's just say, oh, I've got a light green actually, but I'll go with the yellow because it's a bit more cadmium yellow, this, and it needs sharpening. But anyway, to me, this stem here fades into that background a little bit too much. Just this part of the stem where I've gone a little bit dark. So if I use a yellow pastel pencil, I can just, least little touch. You can use white as well. A white pastel pencil works really nicely. And then I've got a slightly lighter sun-kissed stem. So you might have to use a fixative if you use a lot of it. That's really brought that forward, hasn't it?
It's really good.
So there's lots of options for you, really, in order to how to resurrect a watercolour painting. They're not always the same way, and technically it's mixed media, but does it really matter as long as you get the effect that you are after? I tell you what I did. Oh, I don't know where I put it. Might like to put it away. The you know, the reindeer with the northern lights that we did months ago. I ended up doing that. Oh, I can show you. Yeah. And I was showing the students the same thing. I've got a blob on there. Ignore the blob. But I used pastels to help get the colours to blend together more in the sky, so we didn't have solid lines. Is that the pastels? That's not the pastels one. Where's the pastels one? That's hiding somewhere. I probably moved it out of the way so it wouldn't get filthy. And transfer pastels everywhere. Where have I put it? Definitely somewhere. There it is. So if you remember that this one is actually the one that I did in the class with you, and this is what I did on Friday, but I used pastels on top of the paints to get more subtle tone and blend. So you can see it does actually work as an additional way of lightning. So I will take a photograph of this and post it underneath the reference image that I put up this morning. Next week, what am I inflicting on you next Thursday afternoon? Trees and shadows. That's good shadow practice next week. So we'll be making lots of purples. So that's good. You don't need to know about tomorrow afternoon because you've already done it. Monday morning from Wardington, we are doing a wallflower on a wall in gouache. Monday evening's watercolour class is White Blossom. This is the last week online only. From the 4th of April, I will be here doing it if any of you want to join in real life. Tuesday afternoon's acrylic class is a sunset with a rowing boat on a lake's edge. Wednesday's drawing class is Wednesday's gouache class is Christ the Redeemer statue in Brazil with the moon behind. That's going to be quite fun. Wednesday afternoon's drawing class is a kitten in nasturtium. And then Thursday morning's pastel class is a goldfinch. And then in the afternoon we've got trees and shadows in watercolour. So a nice varied subject matter. So thanks ever so much for your company. It's been lovely to spend a Thursday afternoon with you all as usual. Whatever you're doing, please look after yourselves. It's still not 100% out there. Look after yourself, stay safe, and hopefully if I don't see you online in any other classes or in the shop, I'll see you next Thursday. So thanks ever so much everyone. Bye bye.